Hello and welcome to our webinar, DALS Refresher. Our presenters today are Becky Whalen, our Pearson Assessment Consultant, and Kimberly Elizondo, our Pearson Clinical East Region Territory Manager. We also have Chuck Eberly, our Pearson Senior Business Strategist, and April Stewart, our Pearson Marketing Manager, on with us today, and they will monitor the Q&A. The webinar is presented in broadcast audio. Please turn up your computer speakers as there are no dial-in options. We are also presenting this with closed caption. The webinar handout links are in the chat box. Please download this handout during the session. Please type your questions, concerns, and comments into the Zoom Q&A. The chat box will not be monitored for content. We will also answer questions live, time permitting. If your question is not answered during the live presentation, please fill out the follow-up form in the link that will pop up after the webinar. Webinar certificates of attendance will be automatically emailed to you within 3 weeks if you participate for the full 45 minutes. With that being said, I will turn it over to Becky Whalen.
All right, thanks so much, Sherry. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks so much for attending our DALS Back to School webinar. My name is Becky Whalen. I'm a speech language pathologist and an assessment consultant here at Pearson, and I am so excited to review over your digital assessment library for schools account to get you started for the great year ahead. So a couple of housekeeping things, as Sherry had said, before we get started. In our chat section, you're going to find the slides of this presentation along with the DALS Back to School guide. Now, it's important that you access both of these. The DALS Back to School guide particularly is going to include a plethora of links that I am going to be alluding to throughout my presentation. If you do have any questions throughout my presentation, please add them to the Q&A. Again, like we said, we have Kim, Chuck, and April manning our chats today, manning those Q&A, and you are in great hands. They are all wealths of knowledge, and they'll answer as quickly as they can. If there are commonly asked questions, I'm going to try as hard as I can to address them at the end. And then I also do want to emphasize that this is a general overview of what's available through the digital assessment library. So I'm about to go through a lot because that covers a lot. So you might, know most of it, you might know some, but just know that we have free training modules that you can watch over and over again that are going to help you better understand how you can use your account. And so you can find those in our DALS Back to School guide. That is, again, in the chat. And then we're also going to send you a recording of this session in a couple of weeks, and you can watch it to your heart's content. So with that said, I'm going to turn my camera off so I'm not so distracting, and let's get started. All right, so here is our agenda for today's webinar. Our goal today is to really give you some context into what DALS is, explain our platforms and how you can use DALS, and then talk about some of the additional features such as training and ordering. By the time that we leave you today, I hope that you will have gained a good sense of the resources that you will have available to you this coming year and pursue further training to really maximize those resources. We're also going to give a quick overview of what is to come in the very near future this school year. So the Digital Assessment Library for Schools offers an annual site license that grants the entire district access to a collection of over 40 assessments utilized by various professionals such as school psychs, speech language pathologists, education diagnosticians, special education teachers, occupational therapists, and physical therapists, and social workers. And unlimited usage enables your district to address all referral inquiries, employing any necessary tests as frequently as required, with as many examiners as necessary. So you can add whoever you want to the account, and they can do whatever they want with the account. They can administer any assessment that they want to, that's available to them as often as they need to. So your district receives access to an expanding digital library featuring over 40 of our top assessments, unlimited utilization of Q Interactive, unlimited usage of Q Global, training sessions for Q Interactive and Q Global, and then tailored support to meet your district specific requirements. So let's look at our two platforms that are available with your DALS subscription. So before I get started, our DALS is really a payment subscription. It's not its own platform. With DALS, you get access to two different platforms, the first being Q Global, which I'm about to talk about right now, and the other being Q Interactive, which I will talk about in a couple of slides. So access to DALS and purchasing the DALS subscription means you get access to our two platforms. So first being Q Global, it's a web-based platform which facilitates scoring, reporting, and some administration of various self-administered assessments like questionnaires or rating scales, including the BASC-3, the Beck Youth Inventory 2, the Vineland-3, and the Brown Executive Functioning and Attention Scales. It allows sending test links to teachers or parents for completion without physical delivery. And furthermore, it offers a resource library with digital manuals and stimulus books for one-on-one or telepractice testing. So if you're one of these disciplines, make sure that you have a Q Global account. It's going to cost no extra to your district, and you'll reap many, many benefits by using Q Global. Our other platform is Q Interactive. Q Interactive utilizes two iPad devices for interactive assessments that you'd be giving to a student, such as the WISC-5, the SELF-5, the WIAT-4, or the KTEA-3 in a one-to-one environment. So here is a list of all of the available assessments on Q Interactive. I do want to draw your attention to the top of the screen, and you can see there's a new tool that is coming out next month, the WACE-5. The WACE-4 is already available, but when the WACE-5 is released onto Q Interactive, it's going to automatically be added to your account as part of your subscription. That's one of the really nice things about the digital assessment library, is it really offsets the cost of getting new assessments. And anything that's added to Q Interactive is going to become automatically available to you with your subscription. And as you can see, Q Interactive can also be used by a wide variety of professionals. Here you can see here, it says school psychologists, speech language pathologists, special education teachers, educational diagnosticians, and we do have the Bracken available for early childhood education teachers. All right, so we're going to talk about some of the basics with DALS. So I'm going to review how to access these items on Q Global. So you get unlimited Q Global scoring and reporting assessments with your DALS subscription. So even though tests like the WIAT-4, the KTEA are available on Q Interactive, you still can score and report those tests on Q Global if you have clinicians that aren't using Q Interactive and prefer administering tests by paper and pencil. And then also we're going to give you printable response booklets or response forms for rating skills, digital access to manuals and stimulus books, and we'll talk about the free response booklets and starter kits to supplement Q Interactive shortly. So I'm going to escape out of my PowerPoint really quickly, and I'm going to share my screen to show you guys my Q Global account. Give me 1 second because it logged me out and now I got to get back in. This might be a good time while I'm logging in to check the chat. I'm going to ask that Kim post the Q Global training modules into the chat right now. Now, if you guys miss anything that I'm reviewing over, please look at the chat. We do have training modules that give you a step-by-step guide on how to do everything that I'm about to show you. So, if you miss something, you can always go back and watch these modules. So right now I am sharing my screen so you can see my DALS Q Global account. You can see here up on the top left-hand screen, there is the DALS icon, the Digital Assessment Library icon that differentiates a DALS account from a traditional Q Global account. They look very similar, but they are different. So what's really notable from your DALS Q Global account is the resource library. So I'm going to go into my resource library. It's up here on the top right corner of my Q Global account. And here you can find all of the stimulus books and manuals for the tests that we have available on Q Global. So for example, if I wanted to go to look at the Wyatt 4, I can click on the Wyatt 4 folder and then go to the restricted section of the Wyatt 4. And here I can find the stimulus book of that test by clicking on the stimulus book page. And then I also can find the scoring manual. I loved this option when I was working in a district with DALS, because I know that most of you guys are not writing reports at your desk in your office. You're probably writing them at home in front of the TV with a bowl of popcorn. And it's really nice to not have to remember to bring your manual or your kit home with you when you want to look something up quickly as you're writing a report. So this is a really, really nice option that we offer to all of our DALS customers. Again, you can find these manuals and stimulus books in the test folder, in the respective test folder in the DALS library. The other thing that I want to point out to you guys in the resource library are printable response forms. So there are a variety of tests that you guys are probably familiar with, like the BASC 3 or the Vineland 3, where you can send home email links to families and to teachers for response. So they're asynchronous assessments. They rely on respondents to write answers, and then you're able to score those tests online. So you are able to email those links. You have the unlimited ability to do so with your DALS subscription. However, you might come across a family who might not feel comfortable entering information online or may not have reliable access to their email. And so for those families, we actually have the ability to print out the response, the record forms for each test that we have available on-screen administration. So for example, if you had a preschool family who speaks Spanish, doesn't have reliable access to email, you can click on the preschool rating scale. You can go to the all printable psych forms, go to the restricted section, and then you can select the form that needs to be printed for that family. All right, so I'm going to try really quickly to go back to my PowerPoint. Give me just 1 second. All right, so now we're going to talk about ordering additional materials. Now that you have your DALS account, you have access to so much that you might forget what you have. And we don't want you spending money on items that you already have access to. So we're going to provide a couple of simple steps for you to check your account prior to ordering new materials. So here are our 3 simple steps for ordering when you have a DALS account. Step 1, and Kim, I'm going to ask that you post our DALS guide in the chat, is that you check page 6 of the DALS guide. So you can find the DALS guide on our website at pearsonassessments.com by typing DALS in the search bar. You can also find it in that back to school guide PDF that's posted in the chat by Sherry. And Kim is also going to post this DALS guide in the chat for you. You might want to bookmark this guide for a quick reference throughout the year because it contains a lot of valuable information about what is already included in your account. The first thing that I want to make sure that all of you know is, as I showed you before, you're able to access manuals and stimulus books on Q Global. So there's really no need to purchase them because they're already available to you online and easy for your clinicians to access. So if you do have clinicians coming to you asking for manuals or stimulus books, you can direct them to their Q Global account. And just make sure that that they know about the manuals and stimulus books prior to ordering. So if you look at page 6 of the DALS guide, you'll find that there is a column for both digital stimulus books and digital manuals. So if there's a check next to that test, again, encourage your clinicians to access these digitally rather than ordering them. All right, let's look at record forms. The other component that we talked about earlier are record forms for tests that can be administered through on-screen administration. So there are many tests that can be administered completely through Q Global or through Q Interactive without needing record forms. Here's a list of all of these tests that are available on Q Global. And you might notice that some of the forms I showed earlier, including the BASC-3 or the Vineland, you also might notice there's some tests that are even given with the students in the room, like a test like the BOT-3 on the bottom or the Bailey-4. So these tests can be completely administered on Q Global in lieu of a record form. And you can find directions for how to administer those tests on our Q Global training guide. So if you go to page 6 of the DALS guide, you'll find a column for the on-screen administration. So if that column is checked next to your test, don't order these forms. They are already available to you for administration online. All right, again, as I had mentioned earlier, you might have families who might not have reliable access to their email or feel comfortable entering information online and might need a printable protocol. Again, fortunately, you do not need to order these protocols because they are accessed through your Q Global account in the resource library. And if you go to page 6 of your DALS guide, it's going to show you that there's a printable form available for the test that you need. So if it's checked next to your test, please don't order it. It's available to you on Q Global. So I know that there's a lot of you who probably get lists of items that you need. What I recommend doing is going through that list and cross-comparing it with page 6 of your DALS guide so you don't purchase things that you already have access to with your DALS subscription. So step 2 would be to order no charge forms. So people who are familiar with Q Interactive know that it forgoes the need for record forms. You don't need record forms to administer a test on Q Interactive. However, you still need response booklets or the forms that are filled out by the student. So if there is a corresponding response booklet for a test that is available on Q Interactive, that response booklet is going to be available to order for free with your DALS subscription. So record forms are not covered because you do not need record forms to administer tests. Only response booklets are covered. And here's a list of the response booklets that are covered in your DALS Complete account. Now, sorry to sound redundant, but as you can see on page 6 of your DALS guide in the Q Interactive blue column, if there is a check for the paper response booklets included, they should be available on the no charge form, and they will be free for your district to order. So it's important that these are not included on quotes or on purchase orders because customer support does not know to automatically give these items to you for free. Instead, we have a different process for ordering. Kim, I'm going to ask that you post the link to this in the chat box for all of our lovely attendees. So, but this is also in the DALS handout, the back to school handout that was also posted in the chat. So you're going to find a link to order no charge response booklets. So when you click the link, it's going to take you to Pearson's webpage where you can access the no charge DALS complete form. And you can submit that completed form on this website as well. So all you need to fill out on the form is your district name, your Q Interactive account number, and the quantity of each item that you need. And it takes about 10 to 15 days to ship materials from the time that they are ordered, but it is free shipping. So while there are a good amount of assessments that are available on Q Interactive, and that are available for administration with your DALS subscription, we still do have a good amount of assessments that need to be administered by paper and pencil. You might find digital inventory for some of these items on Q Global, like the manuals or scoring and reporting. But to administer the test, you still need a physical kit with record forms. So for example, a test like the KBIT 2 Revised, which came out a couple of years ago, you still need to administer by paper and pencil, but you can take the score that you got by paper pencil administration and get a report on Q Global at no additional cost. And you can find the manual and stimulus book on your Q Global account with your DALS Complete subscription. But you still need paper and pencil administration, and that is not covered in your DALS subscription. And so for tests like these, we offer DALS Plus. So some of you may have DALS Plus, and some of you may have opted out of this subscription. So it's important to know whether you've opted in or out. And we usually ask on an annual basis whether you want to upgrade to DALS Plus. You definitely should check and be aware if you do or do not have it, because with the DALS Plus subscription, because you need those record forms and those response booklets to administer tests on the screen, we give those to you for free with a DALS Plus subscription, but it's only if you have that DALS Plus subscription. Fortunately, the ordering for those lucky clinicians is pretty simple. You're able to use that same order page as the DALS complete form. You can submit the DALS Plus form the same way that you submit the DALS form, but please note that there's different items on both forms. So if you have DALS Plus, you want to use and look at both forms and not just the DALS Plus forms. The DALS Plus form is only for DALS Plus items, only items that you can administer by paper pencil. The DALS Complete form is for those tests to supplement Q Interactive for everyone who uses DALS. All right, last but not least, steps 1 and step 2 probably covered most of what you needed. But if there are any remaining items on your shopping list for this year, we can proceed to step 3, which is to build a quote, and you can do this in a couple of different ways. You can build the quote online through pearsonassessments.com. You need to set up an online shopping account, and like you would for any online store, there is a cart on the top right-hand screen. And when you're ready to have all of your items added to your cart, you can click on the cart and it will save and build a quote for your district that you can provide to your purchasing department to generate a purchase order. If you still prefer to do things in old, totally understand. You can always email your designated Pearson representative, but to avoid errors on your quote, please present them with the following: your billing and shipping address, the item name, and the item quantity, and the ISBN number. So you can find the ISBN number under the product name on our website. It's really important that you provide this because there are multiple products listed under the same test, and we need to know exactly which one you want to order. Okay, gonna throw another wrench into this. If you have DALS Plus, if you're one of those lucky clinicians, you get 65% off of any Pearson published kit. So this can be a kit from the DALS Plus list that I showed you earlier, or it can be a kit for a test that's available on Q Interactive. So for example, a test like the WAIS 5 that just came out, if you can administer that test on Q Interactive, but your district might want to have a couple of kits on hand. So if you do have DALS Plus, you can get a really significant discount on that kit, 65% off with free shipping. But with that said, customer support does not know to automatically apply this discount. So you'll either need to send that quote that you created online to your Pearson rep, who can then initiate a discounted quote on your behalf, or just email your Pearson rep and state that you have DALS Plus to get that discounted quote. And here you can see a QR code. If you scan that, you can find out who your representative is. I'll give you a second to do that before moving on to the next slide. We are almost done with ordering. Okay, last but not least, bear with me because this does get a little bit confusing. Your DALS subscription gives you unlimited access to Q Global. Sometimes our kits include free Q Global scoring for a year for non-DALS customers. So for customers who do not have DALS, they can get Q Global with the first purchase of their kit. But since you already have DALS, you don't need Q Global scoring because you already have the Q Global scoring. So do not order Q Global scoring. We won't be able to apply it to your Q Global account because you already have the Q Global scoring that's listed on the kit page. And it might create a significant delay in your order. So instead, you want to look for kits that have print next to them. So if it says print only or just in parentheses print, you're going to want to purchase those kits and not the ones that include Q Global scoring, or it could result in a delay of your order. Okay, so moving on to training. We do offer a variety of trainings for DALS and non-DALS districts. You're going to find links to all of these trainings in that DALS Back to School handout that's listed in the chat. But I'm also going to ask that Kim add some of the links that I'm alluding to in the chat right now as I'm speaking. So first, we provide free training modules for Q Interactive and Q Global specifically for our DALS customers. And these training modules are usually sufficient for administrators as they show you how to open your accounts and add new clinicians to create accounts for them. And they also include training for clinicians to administer tests on both Q Interactive and Q Global. Pearson, we really want to make sure that you're optimizing the use of your DALS account. Your district probably purchased DALS for a couple of reasons, but we have a very expansive library, and there are probably things that you can benefit from that you are not even using yet. So we have a variety of free webinars that we present periodically, and you can find these webinars on our website or by using the link that is provided on the DALS Back to School guide. And also, when we launch new products, we often provide free webinars that give an overview of the changes that were made to a new test with some training components. And these are often pretty meaty webinars. We often are able to have authors come and present on their tests. And some of these free webinars provide free CEUs. And you can find registration for upcoming webinars using the link that is provided on the DALS Back to School guide. And while all this seems like a lot, we have even more. We also encourage you to look into paid training for professional development, especially when you are looking to start using a new tool as a department. Our training team provides live webinars and live in-person training to outfit about 30 clinicians per training, and usually a 3 to 6 hour period. And you can find our training page using the link in our Back to School guide in the chat. So Pearson's always looking for ways to enhance and add more value to the DALS and DALS Plus subscription. So let's take a look at what's coming in 2024. So here's a quick timeline of the assessments Pearson has released this year. The WACE 5 actually published and began shipping yesterday. We anticipate that it's going to be added to Q Interactive through your DALS subscription in late September. We're expecting the new DCAFS Advanced to come in the spring of 2025. And this is a big year for our beloved occupational therapists. We have 3 motor assessments that were released this year. So one of the better known assessments we've released this year is the BOT 3. So for those of you who may be unfamiliar with the BOT, this is a comprehensive assessment of fine and gross motor skills, most utilized in supporting diagnoses of motor impairments, developing and evaluating motor interventions, and making placement and support decisions. And this assessment is intended for children and young adults ages 4 through 25, and it takes about 25 to 90 minutes to administer, depending on whether the brief or the full version is administered and whether both the fine and gross motor components are administered. Your digital assessment library solution also includes the movement assessment battery for children, 3rd edition, or more commonly known as the MABC3. This is an assessment of motor competence that can be utilized with individuals ages 3 through 25. The administration time is about 30 to 45 minutes, so a little bit shorter than the BOT. And the test consists of 2 related measures, the test itself, which is a performance-based, and the checklist, which is a questionnaire. The checklist is going to be available to all DALS customers through your Q Global library. So just like the BASC, where you can send those forms to parents and to teachers, you can do the same thing with the MABC3. However, if you want to administer the full MABC3, the test kit needs to be purchased. But if you have DALS Plus, you can get that kit for 65% off. The primary uses of the MABC3 is to identify children and young adults who have motor difficulties and to provide a holistic measure of motor skills using a combination of performance-based and self or independent rater reports, and to monitor or document progress and plan interventions, and to measure motor skills in research. Presently, the BOT3 is the go-to motor assessment for many OTs and PTs in the US, and for good reason. It's comprehensible, words are hard today, but comprehensive, reliable, and we've all known and loved it for years. But in some situations, the MABC3 may be a better fit. So for example, the age range of the BOT3 is 4 to 21 years. And the same tasks are used throughout the test. So a lot of the times, the kids on the younger end of the age range can struggle with the test items, which makes it hard to get a sense of for what they are actually able to do. Where the MABC3 has 3 age bands, with the tasks for each age band designed to be developmentally appropriate. So it makes a great choice for younger children who are difficult to assess with the BOT. Similarly, if you have individuals who have cognitive or language difficulties or have difficulty paying attention, the shorter administration time and flexibility allowed in delivering task instructions can make the MABC3 worth considering over the BOT. And then the MABC3 offers that parent checklist, while the BOT doesn't. So the checklist is an excellent way to find out about an individual's motor skills in everyday situations, which is important to gain a complete picture of motor performance in order to set meaningful and client-centered goals. So even if you use the BOT, you can still use the MABC3 checklist alongside to supplement your findings. So the checklist also offers an alternative if it's not possible to administer a test because of time or resource constraints, or because the individual is simply not able to cope with the formal testing situation. So in an ideal world, you would have both the movement ABC and the BOT as part of your toolkit. And to some extent, you do with DALS. So just to give you guys a preview, a closer look of how these assessments are integrated into your DALS subscription. You can find this on, big surprise, page 6 of your DALS guide. Each assessment has a manipulative set that can be purchased separately, or if you're in a DALS Plus district, you can receive that full kit for 65% off, which usually comes out to be less than the cost of the manipulative set alone. And we are excited to announce that the WASE 5 published yesterday. So the WASE 5 is the most comprehensive and advanced psychometric measure of adult cognitive ability based on recent research in the area of cognitive neuroscience and the theories and works of David Weschler, PhD. It is an individually administered clinical assessment instrument for assessing intelligence of examinees ages 16 and up. And some of the unique benefits of the newest edition are the 3 new subtests, There's new later start points for those suspected of giftedness, resulting in decreased testing time, new index scores for examinees with expressive or motor problems to provide interpretive clarity and as a measure of ability, not confounded by expressive language or motor problems. There's separate visual, spatial, and fluid reasoning indexes, which provide a purer measure of both constructs. There's comprehensive measurement of working memory, including auditory, visual, spatial capacity, and focus of attention. There's new quantitative reasoning. There's a new quantitative reasoning index that can be a strong indicator of general intelligence and predictor of academic and career success. And there's new crystallized and fluid expanded index scores that provide a broader measure of two cornerstones of intelligence. And my favorite, it is reduced administration time for the FSIQ, which now only consists of the first 7 subtests. So as you saw, several updates have been made to the WAIS 5, and it is a shorter administration time. So with the WAIS 5, there's 3 administration options. Q Interactive, which is included through your DALS subscription. You can administer the test by paper and pencil, and then you can score and report that test on Q Global. So you have the option to administer it digitally with Q Interactive and get the scoring and reporting with Q Interactive, or you can administer the test by paper and pencil. Now that's, if you have DALS Plus, you can get 65% off of that kit, but then you get the Q Global scoring included as part of your DALS subscription. The last assessment that I wanted to touch on will be coming soon to the DALS in the spring, and that's the DCAFS Advance. This test is a performance measure that is individually administered to children and adults ages 8 to 90, and it contains 6 subtests that measure a variety of verbal and nonverbal executive functions. So clinicians choose which subtest to administer based on the referral question, and the DCAFS Advanced expands coverage with additional measures of working memory, distraction, social aspects of executive functioning, and risk-taking. The new digital administration enhances the range of scores for each test and increases scoring and efficiency while reducing examiner burden. So all advanced subtests are administered digitally on Q Interactive. So none of this is going to be available in a paper pencil format. It is only going to be available on Q Interactive. So we appreciate you all joining us today, and we hope that this webinar has been informative and helpful to you. You can scan the QR code to find your dedicated K-12 clinical assessment consultant for your state, and please don't hesitate to contact us with any questions. And we look forward to your continued partnership this school year. It looks like we do have about 5 minutes for questions. And so I am going to throw it to Kim. Were there any frequently asked questions that were asked in the chat that I can address here?
Hey, Becky, can I make one comment real quick just on the waste? So the paper waste kit published and started shipping today, the digital version. So what will appear in your Q Interactive license will be released on September 19th. So there's about 4 more weeks before it actually shows up in Q Interactive.
Thank you for clarifying that, Chuck. That's correct. When it becomes available on Q Interactive, it will automatically be added to your iPads. But if you ordered a print kit, you should expect those a little bit earlier than the digital release.
Okay, so there was a question about WAIS 5 starter kits. Are they free with DALS Plus accounts? And the answer there is yes. You can order a WAIS 5 starter kit at no additional charge if you are a DALS Plus customer. So the way that you would do that, we're actually updating our materials request form that's on the website. That should be posted likely early next week. and you'll be able to order those Waste 5 starter kits. I believe they are shipping out toward the end of September.
They'll ship out closer to the release date on Q Interactive, and those starter kits are meant to supplement your Q Interactive subscription. Now, if you already have the waste blocks for the waste 4, they are the same as the 5, so you do not need to order them, but you will have the ability to order new blocks if you want them on the form when it's updated. But it will update on that website that was posted and shared with you guys earlier today. And to clarify, you only need a DALS subscription to get that waste starter kit. So everyone who has DALS Complete, you do not need DALS Plus to get that that waste subscription, or to get that waste starter kit.
Let's see if there were some other commonly asked questions here. There were a lot of questions about just about some of the different assessments and how to get the DALS guide, how to get to the trainings. So those have been kind of posted throughout the chat today, and then they are also in the handout. Sherry, I don't know if you might want to post the handout again. I'm trying to look through and see if there were any additional kind of common questions here.
Kim, there's been a couple of questions about test or screen for dyslexia. I've been adding the comment that the Shaywitz is available as a screener as part of your DALS subscription.
And that is administered on Q Global for background there. So the Shaywitz Dyslexia screen is available via Q Global in your DALS subscription.
Yep, and we recommend, again, going to page 6 of your DALS subscription, and there is a table showing where it's going to be available, whether it's Q Interactive or Q Global. The Q Interactive is in blue, and the Q Global is in orange.
Becky, one question just about, basically the question says, is there an easy way to renew our subscriptions?
Absolutely is an easy way to renew your subscription. Please email your assessment consultant, and they will help initiate a quote on your behalf. We are going to just need the most recent IEP count that your district provided to your state. So just have that number on hand. Your rep might ask you a couple of questions, and then they will be able to initiate a quote on your behalf. And you can scan the QR code that's currently on the screen to figure out who your rep is. It's the K through 12 clinical assessment consultant that would be responsible for helping you with your DALS subscription. But that's a great question. Thank you very much. Another thing that I did see in the chat was asking if a recording will become available. There will be a recording available. It should be sent in the next couple of weeks to everyone who registered for this session. The DALS training modules are not currently posted on our website because they're not available to the public. They're only available to DALS customers. So that should be in that handout that was provided to you that Sherry had just posted in our chat. You can find them in the back to school guide. Or if you cannot find them, please email your K through 12 clinical assessment consultant, and they'll email those training modules to you.
How can I check to see if I have an account through my district? I would go to your coordinator of your department and ask if an account has been created. The admins on the district account would be able to look and see if you have had an account created or not.
And if you haven't had an account created, they'll be able to add one for you. All right, we might have time for about one more question quickly. You can look up webinars on our webinar page at pearson.com. That was provided to you for the that was provided to you on the DALS handout. So if you're looking up a specific name, you should be able, or a specific test, you should be able to search the webinars that we currently have, or webinars that will become available. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for your attendance today. We hope this was helpful. And again, if you have any further questions, please contact your assessment consultant. Thanks, everyone. Have a great start to your year.